So in this webinar, I'm going to go over the different niche markets using Terapeak. It goes to the eBay marketplace to see all the statistics and all the sales that happen on eBay. And I'm going to act as if each website that I'm going to go over as if it's my own. So imagine as if you're just looking at me doing my own research for that specific niche, even though these are going to be your niches. So let's begin. We have first one. We have Challengertopia. Now keep in mind that I didn't do any kind of searches prior to this webinar, and I actually have no idea what the results are going to be like. So bear with me as I'm going to go through everything here, and if there's any typos or anything like that, we'll just go as we move forward. First thing I'm doing is I want to do a search for the top sellers. The top sellers means the top actual sellers who sell on eBay, not the top sellers as in product. So I want to see who the top sellers are for certain product in the eBay Motors category, in the car and truck parts category in the past 30 days, and we're going to do the Challenger as our first niche. So let's see what we're going to get. So we're trying to find the guys who are doing the top dollars on eBay and seeing exactly what they're selling. First thing we're going to look at is sell-through ratios and dollar figure and the amount. The dollar figure doesn't always mean that it's a hot product. As you can see here, he only sold 3 of them. He made a lot of money with it, so we'll have to figure out what he sold there, but most likely something big like engine or something like that. But we want something low-dollar item between $100, $500 is a bigger ticket item, but we want to keep it under $200 because the industry average ticket or product that sells in the automotive industry is approximately $120. So that's what people usually buy. Of course, if you're targeting engines only, you'll always get those high dollar items. But let's see what we have here. So we're going to click on this first guy. It seems like he's selling $500 items. He sold 18 out of the 78 that he had listed. Looks like he has actual bids. So let's see what he's selling. So I see he sold something huge, which made up the reason why it was so expensive. Like I said, he sold an engine here. It looks like he's stripping down a car and selling OEM parts for the car. So unless you have access to a stripped down car, that's something for you to consider, but we're going to skip this seller. And keep in mind that some of the niches, if some of the niches you chose might not be hot seller niches. It might be a smaller niche where people don't buy aftermarket parts, they buy factory parts, which should give you a heads up that you might want to target factory. This one is a high dollar ticket item, so okay, they're actually selling wheels, which is actually pretty cool that they listed all these different wheels and all of them sold, and I don't believe these are originals. Let me see if he gives a brand name of these. Okay, so they're factory reproduction, the leader in replica. Wheels is a whole different industry. If you have a general store, you need to go with a wheel and tire fitment guide. If you have a Challenger niche like this, like you can only sell one possible wheel for this. This is something to definitely jog down and come back to it. So we might want to just do a little bit more research on which wheels actually sell. These look like replicas that I guess come from factory for the Challenger, except these are probably 50% or 100% less than what the dealership would charge you. So in this case, worst case scenario, if I can't find anyone else who can sell me these replicas, I would carry these rims on my website. I don't know how many people go on eBay to look for replica wheels or just go, look for wheels in general for their car, for this specific car. But wheels is a huge, huge industry, and this guy listed 4 and sold all 4. These 2 are the same. This one is a little bit different. I definitely consider contacting him directly if I can't find someone on Google who sells it like a manufacturer. In this case, there is no manufacturer. It's a replica. So probably imported from China or something. So I'd contact him directly. I'd put this wheel on my on homepage for a week or two, see how it goes. If he's selling it for $1,413 and $200 shipping, figure my credit card fee on this is going to be 3%, which is $42 I have to give away. Plus, if you're in the partnership program, that's another 4%. So if you're not, I'm going to consider that you're not in the partnership program, so the only expense you have is like the credit card fee, and everything else goes towards the profit after the cost of goods. So one of the things you want to keep in mind on high-dollar items is if it's a very high-dollar item, like in this case, you could be a victim of fraud where, it could be a friendly fraud. And what that means is, they get a rim, they don't like it, or it doesn't fit, or it has a scratch on it. They're just not happy about it, and they file a chargeback on you, and now you got that much money frozen. So you got to consider the risk factor of how much money you're going to make versus what could go wrong. If you can potentially lose $1,400 and only profit $50 out of this, that risk factor, I wouldn't go for it. I would just not sell the product. Doesn't make sense. How many products do I have to sell with a $50 profit in order to recoup my loss? It does happen. So I would consider selling this with at least a 30% markup because of the risk that something could go wrong, and I want to be able to sell a few of them, and if something does go wrong after a few, I can at least break even. So basically, I would be selling these for, let's say, 30%. So for $423, so figure 14 plus 423. So I would list it on my website for maybe like $17.99 or like $18.25 plus shipping for the set of 4. I'm not going to do extensive research on this webinar, but I would probably go and see how much these wheels actually go for. And if they go for like $3,000 and I'm selling it for $18.25, that's still a very good deal, even though they're a replica. Maybe you can advertise it as a replica using your own name. So if your website is Challengertopia, maybe you can do Challengertopia special edition wheels and then do your sales pitch in the sales copy. So that's something I would definitely write down. If you want to write it down, I do that. Okay, so we have the next one. If you have questions, by the way, just put in the chat. I'll answer them. Okay, so we have the next one. And also, one of the things I started paying attention to is when do people shop for the products? See, time of the day. Obviously, this is not a good statistic because I'm looking at one seller, but if you look at industry-wide for your niche, you'll notice a trend where certain people go online at certain times of the day. That might give you a few ideas on how to promote your product as far as when to monitor for actions. So, for example, let's say you want to send out a mass email. You might want to consider sending it out right before they get on their computer because you know that at 9 a.m., for example, they all buy products. So maybe you want to target them at 8 a.m. with a mass mail promoting something so they can make a purchase at 9 a.m. If this is the trend throughout your niche, maybe your specific niche has a car and they maybe work a 9-to-5 job and they get to work at 8. They sit at the computer at 9. They don't feel like working. They feel like browsing and shopping for parts for their car. So that's when the initial purchases happen at 9 o'clock. That might be one of the reasons. So that's something for your persona, for your target market to consider when doing sales. So this is this is good. This is something we want to definitely consider, except now that I'm looking at it, it's by Mopar, which I think is the original parts for the Challenger. So, but check it out. It keeps selling over and over again. You got the cold air intake. Again, it's by Mopar. So Mopar, from what I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but these are original dealership performance parts. And I would definitely consider selling them, considering the frequency of how often they sell. It looks like that's the only thing people want to buy, original performance parts. So you have two choices. One is go to your local dealership or call around and see what kind of discounts you can get. You might want to consider getting discounts where you can compete on eBay. Many cases you can't because the seller on eBay selling dealership parts is the dealer itself, and he's already kind of lowballing the price. Nonetheless, you might want to consider carrying it on your website. So even if you can't compete on eBay, but you can be somewhat competitive between the dealership, that's definitely something you want to put on your website. Considering, I mean, look at this. This guy sells the whole first page, like he sells an intake every few days for Mopar, the strut bar. Every week he sold the strut bar, door sills, and so on. The other choice you have is actually getting some of the hot sellers here and possibly, I mean, I don't know about an intake, but, door sills, for example, find a manufacturer who does door sills. To give you a hint, Mimo USA does door sills. They can manufacture you the same exact set, and instead of, they're selling it for $111, but door sills roughly run you about $50, $60 at most, maybe cheaper if you get a bulk of them. Even if you sell it for $80, you're selling it below what Mopar sells for, and it's going to be the same kind of quality. So again, so far we don't have any really good sellers that we can easily get at very competitive pricing, but this is definitely something for your research. So far, we got people buying parts that are stripped down OEM parts from a car, and then we have this stuff that from the dealership performance parts. So we don't see any AAMs or anything like that yet. So let's keep moving on. We'll go up to number 10, and from there on, you can do your own research after that. Because if we can't find something really good at up to 10, the chances are you have a really tight niche, so you're going to have to figure out if you're going to continue with it or, try to make the best of it. Okay, so here we got some Mopar parts. See, there's a Mopar in the background. Looks like a hood lift strut by Mopar. Again, we have a logo for Mopar. We got a Mopar shift knob, and we got a Mopar car cover. So same as last guy. And as you can see, it sells like crazy. But doesn't mean you can get the really good prices to compete because these are dealership items. So you might have to call around some dealerships, call around some websites, see what you can do to get some Mopar parts, because that seems to be like what people want. I mean, they're selling at a very high sell-through ratio. So this is probably wheels, I'm assuming, because it's $1,700. Yep, that's what I thought. OEM, again, looks like, Challenger Traffic. He's buying OEM stuff, so he's selling OEM wheels. Okay, this one is a 13%. That's not a great sell. Like anything under 30%. Well, let's say anything under 20% is like whatever. Anything above 20% is not bad. You just have to pick out what sells at 20% and stick with that. Okay, here we have an actual brand, finally. And look at that. It keeps selling over and over again, which is pretty good. So we got one every week. Let's see what this is. This one is Challenger Cadillac Exhaust by Street Pro. I've never heard of this brand, but I'm going to Google it real quick. Street Pro Exhaust. Okay, here we go. The way I knew that this is them because I recognize the logo here. So, okay, so basically it looks like this is an individual company, which is good because we can actually work with individual companies. And just to check, I think these guys are the manufacturers. Let me see if I can figure that out. Okay, so Virginia, United States. Let's see where this guy is located, which is the manufacturer. All right. We're going to do it the hard way. We're going to do Google and see who registered this domain. Usually you find this one, who is domain tools, and then put in the domain and you can see where they're located. This guy, okay, so it's registered to a Chris from Pennsylvania, Hatfield. Okay, and our auction is in Virginia. Okay, so maybe this is not the manufacturer, which is a good thing, because this means that you can call them, and you might want to write their company down, so it's pipesexhaust.com. You can tell them about your website. You can tell them, I have Challengertopia. You can go check it out. And tell them I want to sell the hell out of your exhaust on my homepage. I got a lot of traffic. You don't have to, tell them how much traffic you have. Just tell them you got a lot of traffic for Challengers only, and you want to sell the hell out of their exhaust. So they might ask you, how many do you think you're going to sell? You can use eBay statistics. So you got one every week. Figure, you're going to sell a few right away. So you simply call them, this is what's selling. So that's definitely something you want to have on the homepage. Just make sure you match up the price. So you got 510 free shipping. Make sure that when you get the prices from Pipes Exhaust, you're going to be somewhere close to 510 free shipping and still make money after all the fees. This is show and go retractable license plate. This is something Autolock makes. Autolock makes this unit here. Let's see how much Autolock sells it for. And usually, if you don't know on top of your head, who sells what, just Google it. I mean, you'll definitely find it. At least you'll find another website like Auto Anything or somebody who does sell it. They usually list the manufacturer, so you can go off of that. So, license plate. Okay, hidden license plate. Here we go. Okay, so this is the same thing, like the show and go type of thing. Okay, 150 retail. Usually they give you 35 off. You can actually work with them. I'm talking about you can go low with them. So figure they'll give you $100 for this product off the bat. If you just call them and say, I want to wholesale your product, and they'll give it to you right off the bat. You can probably get it down to $80-$70. So according to Terapeak, he sells them at $135. He sold them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right, 7? Is that 7? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep, 7. So he sold them 7 times in the past month, and he seems to be selling 1 or 2 every single week. So definitely a hot product. Definitely something you want to have on your homepage. And he doesn't tell you who the brand is, but Autolock makes it. You can call Autolock and get it. So, everything else he's selling, it doesn't sell very well. But also, you do want to consider the fact that he did have a lot more exhausts listed here. So he had, it looks like he kept relisting them a lot of times. So it might, let me take that back. It might not be a huge seller for the exhaust, but considering he sold 4 of them, it might be worthwhile to keep it on your website, considering how niche your website is. But some things you might not want to have on your homepage. Here is a perfect example. Maybe you come around this type of spoiler, and you're going to say, oh, my God, this is a really cool spoiler. I want to put it on my homepage. Well, use Terapeak to research how well that spoiler sells. Check this guy out. He listed it for 30 days. He didn't sell it once. Same thing goes for the strut tower. Same thing goes for the iBox springs. Of course, you want to consider how much he's selling it for, if his prices are good or not. But Terapeak can be used for 2 things: finding out what's hot and finding out what's not hot. So, pedals, these specific ones at least, this specific oil dipstick didn't sell for 30 days. If you want to get more proof if it doesn't sell, go 60 days back, 90 days back. So you can do different dates here and see how back you need to go to sell. But, you're working with a really tight niche, so you want to go for a product that definitely sell. If it doesn't sell or sells very once a month, you might not want to have it on your homepage. So your homepage is your main page you want to push your stuff on. It's like going to Google or Google.com or Yahoo.com. That's your main page. That's where you want the action to happen. So you want to make sure what you have on your homepage caters to your target market and as hot as it can get with the hottest price you can get. All right, so we got 3 more left before we hit number 10. We'll move on to the next niche. So this is this is not a spoiler. This is for the rear window, right? Okay, because I was going to the last guy was selling the spoiler, and he didn't sell any of them, but this guy is selling this thing for the rear window, and it sold every single time. I was going to look like an idiot if I said that the spoiler wasn't selling a lot, but all of a sudden this guy sold a lot of it. But, okay, so they call it the louvers, or whatever, I guess rear louver, that's what it's called. Every single time it's sold for $480. So I don't know if he makes these or if he gets them somewhere. Again, this is a tight niche with doesn't seem a lot of manufacturers make stuff for it. Maybe it's a Mopar part. I don't know, but definitely sells over and over again. So you might want to get all those Mopar products on your homepage, and if you can get a good price on it, even if you don't make a killing on it, even if you depend on volume, I think you'll get that volume once you get the traffic in and you put all those Mopar parts on your website. It's funny, he listed 3 of them and he sold 7, so people actually kept asking to buy more and more. So that's definitely a hot product, that louver thing. All right, so this is the older Challenger, and these are like all kinds of different parts. So the older Challenger, I mean, all the hot rods sell well, the parts for them. Looks like the hood. Actually, this is not for a Challenger. This is a hood called Challenger, right? Well, anyway, you might want to take a look at these. I think Edelbrock makes most of these aftermarket parts for the older cars. That's the one you want to look at. So I'm not going to go down further because, as you can see, like you're looking at like 4 items, 1 sold, 3 items listed, 3 sold. Well, let's look at this one. 3 items listed, 3 items sold. What is that? Okay, looks like 1 Corsa exhaust and 1 MBPR exhaust, which I'm assuming this is a Mopar, if I'm not mistaken, unless MBPR is some other company, MBPR Inc. Maybe it is. But he sold these 2 exhausts and the Corsa exhaust. So this, if it sells, you might want to have it on your website, but not on your homepage. If it sells like that louver where he listed 3 and he sold 7 because so many people wanted it, then you want to put that on the homepage. Tyler just put in the chat that MBPR is usually a diesel company, so maybe it is. So if that's the case, then there you go. There's another manufacturer who sells an exhaust for this car, and it might be something to consider putting it on your homepage because it's sold twice. And just for the sake of checking real quick, let's just do a quick search. We want to search for MBPR Challenger, except we don't want to put it onto the top seller. We want to do it under the report. The report means that we're going to get everything that's sold. And you want to do that report as well, like what's sold, because if you notice, look at this. The whole first page, wheels, 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 wheels. Most are like OEM wheels, but nonetheless, it's something people buy. MBPR. So we want to do a report on everything that's sold for Challenger MBPR just to get a feel for, how well it sells. So 87 listings, 2.3 sell-through ratio. That's not great. In other words, there was 87 listings and there were only 2 sold. Okay, here's a beautiful reason why. Because this guy was selling it for $900. Well, yeah, $900, $849. Everyone else was selling it for over $1,000. That just gives, that just lets you show how other competitors who sell on eBay do their research. They don't. They just go and list it and, hope it sells. But basically, if you're going to go and sell MBPR exhaust on eBay, you might want to consider going and researching how well MBPR exhaust sells, and you'll notice that this guy is selling it at, a fair price of whatever the manufacturer recommended him to sell it for. He hasn't sold any, so he just wasted his money and time listing this stuff. This guy sold it. I'm sure this is like some kind of a special blowout price or something, which is why he sold 2 of them, because it's at that price. So price plays a big role, and it's not only on eBay. If you have a good price, you'll get more sales. If you have a lot of traffic and a bad price, you might get some sales, but you're not going to get a hell lot of load sales, Okay, so let's do the next niche. Let me close all these windows. Okay, the next one is for Tyler. I actually did a webinar search for myself a little while ago. It didn't look good. I don't know why, because webinar sells very well for me on the website at least. And it doesn't sell well on eBay. But then again, I did a search a while ago, so let's do another search anyway and just see what we find. So let's do weapon R. Basically, last time what I found, which we might find right now, is okay. Maybe let's take a look before I say anything else. Okay, so maybe I was wrong. Maybe I mistyped something when I was doing the search. Okay, so he has 284 listings with 233 successful listings. I don't know if he's honoring MAP or not. Let me take a look at his auction real quick. Okay, so I think he is. I'm going to just go against my own website just to see his pricing, and depending what his pricing is going to be, I'm going to show you how to beat him in his own game. This is pretty interesting. I didn't realize that there's so much sales on eBay for webinar. Well, at least between these two guys. Like between these two guys, you got $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 in successful sales. That's pretty good. All right. Okay, so I'm selling it at $233, and he's selling it at $233, and I'm selling it at free shipping, and he's selling it at free shipping. Okay, so we're the same price, which is good. I think he's actually honoring his MAP price. Okay, so how do you beat him at his own at his own game for this specific product line? First thing I would do, I do this for dash kits. Okay, so I'm not gonna go. I'm actually gonna be hosting a webinar next week. I didn't set a date yet because I didn't expect to come up onto this product. It's sometime next week. I'm gonna send out an invitation. I'm actually gonna spend an hour talking about a scenario like this, where you have the right price. You basically can compete with the eBay seller. One of the things you want to do is basically replicate what he's done right by analyzing his template and analyzing his other competitors' templates. So you analyze everything, and then you basically copy whatever you can, like whatever legally you can copy, like images, for example, that are not his, or webinars, you can copy those. And replicate his sales description, not by copying it, but by including everything he's including and also making it better. If this style of an auction works, where he has this header and he has this red title, and then it's much easier to copy someone. I mean, learn it from Microsoft. They do it all the time. It's much easier to copy someone that works than try to invent something that might or might not work. So if something works for someone, it's very simple to just go and copy it. Not copy it as far as copy it one-to-one text and the whole 9 yards, but copy the layout, copy the images. But when you copy, you make everything better. You make this picture better, you make these pictures better, you make the type better. So you make everything better. What's going to end up happening is if you match his price and you have a better auction, when people search for products on eBay and they find your auction and his auction, they're going to shop around. They're going to see you're in the same price, he's the same price. But they're going to go in and see, do you have some incentives that he doesn't have? So, he's including these two things, and these two are actually free from Webinar. Webinar gives them away. You might want to consider including also something free, or just making better images, or just making a better case on why you should go with him. Maybe he forgot to include that Webinar has a lifetime warranty or something like that. You might want to say, with me only, you get lifetime warranty. Same thing as this guy said. With me, you get these two plus offers. You can do the same thing. So I'm not going to get into this in a lot of detail because it's going to be an hour webinar on how to do it properly, and I'm going to point out every little tiny thing, including copying the title, including copying the compatibility, which is probably one of the reasons why he gets so many sales, because of the compatibility. And I'm going to go through all the tiny little details that you need to know about competing in this kind of scenario on eBay itself. As far as carrying it on your website, I mean, obviously, if you get this many sales for Webinar every month, it's a no-brainer to have a website specialized in Webinar, just like I did for myself. I have a website. This is my website, specializing in Webinar only, and I make sales every day on it. If it's a really good niche market for a specific brand, do a niche website for that brand, and you're going to replicate the same amount of sales as you see on eBay, except on your website, and then you can also sell on eBay as well. So Tyler, sorry for the quick run-through on this, but you'll need to come to my next webinar on how to compete with this specific seller. All right, so the next one we'll do is Corvette. And a lot of things you'll notice that as I'm going through these niches, it's a little bit repetitive. You know, I'm going through this stuff, but certain things might arise. Something new will come up. You know, like maybe there's going to be a supplier that I can give you some hints on to go through, or a scenario like this that we just encountered. Okay, now don't get excited that the Corvette is a really huge market and there's a lot of money in it. In fact, I think it's probably like $400,000 to $500,000 in sales per month comes from eBay just in Corvettes. You have a lot of competition. So I'm talking about a lot of competition. I'm not going to go through up to 10. I'm going to go up to 5. In fact, I'm going to go through a few people that do very big sell-through ratios and a few people that do okay sell-through ratios and the ones that do very low sell-through ratios. I'm also not going to click on the wheels because it's self-explanatory. Just like the challenger market, wheels always sells. Put it this way. When you go to the SEMA show, which, by the way, if you haven't registered, semashow.com, it's coming up in November 1st, well, November 2nd. Shopping Carlita is going to have a booth there in the wheels hall, by the way. Wheels has its own hall. Okay, so you got the performance hall, you got the restyling hall, like you got all these different halls. Wheels has its own hall, and tires has its own hall. That's how big the wheels industry. I mean, it's $1 billion industry. So when it comes to wheels, any car is going to sell for it. So I'm not going to click on wheels here, but I guess let's click on this guy. He listed 7,800 listings. He sold 1,000. His sell-through ratio is 12%. Not great, but if we can get the items that he keeps selling over and over again, that makes up that 12%. If they're the same items, that's something to consider carrying. So let's take a look at it. Usually what you'll find is if it's the same item over and over again, they'll be next to each other. That's how Terapeak works. You see, like these two items, similar text, they're next to each other. So it looks like it's a bunch of different items for the Corvette. I think it's also like stripping down the car. Well, there's some aftermarket parts, like car cover. I see here, $239. Manufacturer name, Stretch Fit. Google it. I'm sure you'll get them. Covers, tail lamps, nothing. I don't see anything repetitive. Like what I'm looking for is a pattern of the same thing selling over and over again. That's what I want to carry in the homepage. Obviously, Corvette is a huge market, so you want to nail down what sells the best first, and then go for everything else. Okay, I'm going back here because this guy, everything you can possibly get for a Corvette, he sells, and as you can see, it's not the best thing to do because he has such low sell-through ratio. Let's go with this guy. He sells 100% of what he sells. So everything he lists, he sells. Let's take a look at what he sells. Notice the trend here. Time of the day, 7 a.m. So all his sales, every single one of his sales happened at 7 a.m. in the past 30 days. Oh, man. So what do we got here? We got, wow, that's a lot of intakes. Let's see where he gets his intake. Install this Performance Choice Air Intake. Horsepower, okay. Free bonus are including, is there a brand for this intake, or there is no brand? I think this is a no-brand intake that he keeps selling over and over again. Just for the sake, this is going to be a little bit off topic. I'm just going to, in my tutorial, under finding what sells, I go over how to see if somebody imports something. I'm just curious to see if he has anything importing. Yep. Doesn't look like it. So he must be getting it from someone in California. 189. That's crazy. But anyway, he sells that a lot. You need to figure out like how to find this intake. Again, worst case scenario, if you absolutely cannot find it from anyone at all, you go through him, mark it up. but he doesn't tell us what brand it is, which means it's an off-brand product, meaning it's from China or from someone in California, which usually costs about $20. He's selling it for, $200. Let me just take a step back real quick. I want to see how many intakes sell for the Corvette. Maybe we'll find some Chinese dude selling it on eBay and we can get it from him. Corvette air intake. I think I found someone at $49. I don't know if he has the dual one, but let's see. Nice. Do you see what I'm talking about? It's all about the sales copy. You make a good sales copy, you sell it for $200. You don't make a good sales copy, you make it look like a Chinese product, you're going to sell it for $50. It's that simple. All right, so I'm going to save this page, and I'm going to look at this page, okay? Tell me what is the difference between these two. Okay? In the chat room, if you can tell me what the difference, I'm going to tell you if you're right or wrong. Okay. While you're thinking, here's the difference. First of all, this is a nicer pipe, in my opinion. It's much more shinier than, well, I guess maybe it's just the picture. Okay. He has a K&N cleaner kit. Okay. This one doesn't. Maybe, I doubt it, but just maybe, these are K&N filters that you can buy separately. Okay. And I can probably, these filters from K&N directly would cost around maybe $30 each. Okay, so he's not advertising that these are K&N filters. He's not advertising this is a K&N intake. He's just saying this is an intake. Here is his whole description for it. And he has a picture of how it looks in his car or whatever in the car. He has this little picture here. In fact, you can get like the secret Weapon R filter and sell it as a Weapon R intake. I'm sure Weapon R doesn't even have this Corvette intake. So basically, you buy this pipe. You can sell it with these filters, but if you want to advertise that you have K&N filters and mark it up, you can do that. But basically, you buy this pipe, okay, it's going to cost you $50 plus $18. You take nicer pictures, much better pictures. Okay, let me just link you quickly to Yakuza. In my next webinar, I'm going to go over this as well, but I'm just going to give you a quick hint. If you go to Yakuza.com, it's here, but just in case you don't get to it, under side menu, business services, eBay startup, I have a package here which it gives you everything, the template, the pictures, the dash kits themselves at $20 each dash kit with free shipping, just so you can get started on eBay. One of the things I tell you to get to do your professional pictures, this 48-inch tent cube lighting studio, I actually link you to eBay. This is what it looks like. I use this. It's awesome. You can fit as big of a part as you need into this thing. Okay, so you take this thing. You're going to put your intake in there. I don't know if you have a good camera or not. Maybe you can borrow it from someone. This is the camera I use, and I love it. This is the best camera ever, for the price at least. So it is pricey. It's a one-time investment, okay, for the very best pictures you can possibly get. And Photoshop, obviously. Just to give you an idea of what kind of pictures I take with this camera, here, let me just link you to one of my eBay auctions. I don't know if you can really see on my screen here, but like this is the picture from the camera. So it's like a really nice up-close shot. Let me do another one here. See, like you can take a really nice, crisp, up-close shot of the product just to give you different angles of how it looks. Okay? So going back to the subject of the intake, so you take this pipe, you can buy K&N filters, so it's going to cost another $60. So your total cost with shipping coming to you, figure $120. You can buy the K&N cleaners for another $15. So figure your whole price will be like $140 shipped, okay? This guy's selling it for $190. He sells, how many did he sell? He sold 14 of them. And then you got another seller under this name who sold another 18 of them, totaling, what is it, $7,500 here. But he's selling something else, so this is not this. We can't compete with him. He's selling some brand name Varum air intake. Let me see if there's anyone else selling an intake that. Let's see. This guy sold 4 of them. Like, these sell-through ratios are ridiculous. 100%, 100%. All these intakes are selling at 100%. You just got to get the right intake. How funny is this? K&N cold air intake for a Chevy Corvette, $311, $299, $333, $343. You do realize that if you buy what I just told you for $140, you can theoretically sell it as a K&N air intake, and you're not lying because you're including the K&N filters in there, and who cares about the pipe? They're all the same. So I don't know what their intake looks like. Maybe it even looks the same. Let me just take a look real quick. And notice that as I'm searching, do you see how niche I go? I go down to the part number to figure out if I can make a lot of money with that part number. Okay, so this part number is like totally different from what I'm selling, so I can't really. Okay, the way K&N is selling it, they're selling this one long filter with this fat pipe. I think it looks ugly. I think that the dual one, this one, looks much nicer, especially when you open up your hood. So, going back to intakes, considering that you're dealing in a very competitive market in Corvettes, I'm not going to load you up with a bunch of products. Here's your first product to deal with. If you want here, write down the item number. You got 1 4. Here, I'm going to put it into the chat room so you can put it down here. Okay. Here's the item number for the $50 pipe that you need. Forget about the filters. We're not going to use these filters. You're just going to have to call K&N, and once you get these filters, because they come with a pipe, obviously, you measure how wide the filter is. You go to K&N, and you order the filter from K&N. You don't have to go to K&N directly. You can deal with, here, sign up with one of our AMP Distributing. That's one of the suppliers in Shopping Cart Elite. They have a crazy discount for K&N. So ampdistributing.com. If I misspelled it, just Google it. So order the filters and the cleaner kit by K&N for this intake. Okay. Once you get those parts in, and once you get this intake in, put the whole thing together. I don't know if you want to buy that photo thing that I showed you. If not, you'll just need to get white sheets on a nice sunny day. Put a shade over yourself so the sun doesn't reflect. Take some good photos. If you don't have a good camera, just do your best with whatever camera you have. Okay? And then take this item number, okay? Here you go. And use his sales copy to sell your intake, right? He doesn't really have a sales copy. Just make it better. You go through a few different ones. Make sure you get a nice image. Make some illustrations of the intake. Make sure you show what couplers and everything else and the hoses are included. Instructions are included. Take an up-close shot of the filter. Take an up-close shot of the pipe. Do a lot more images, okay? By the way, this is China filters. See, he has blue and red. K&N only makes it red. I thought it was K&N because it was red, but now that I see he offers blue one, it's not K&N for sure. So once you finish all of that, put it all on your website. Put it on the home page. No need to go low. Put it for the same price this guy sold it for, $189 plus shipping. If you need to figure out what brand you're going to put it under, you can mark it as a K&N because you're not lying. You're selling K&N filters. Okay, filters makes up an intake, really. It's not the pipe that makes it up. So you can say K&N intake, and then in the description you can put down that the pipe is manufactured by you, custom made by Corvetteopia, right? That's your website name? Corvetteopia, all right. And the filters are K&N, the cleaner is from K&N. Talk about how awesome it is. Show all the good pictures you have. Now, in addition to putting it on your homepage of your website, list it on eBay. I mean, this guy sold a lot of them, right? There's a 100% sell-through ratio. I'm pretty sure you're going to probably outsell the K&N guy because you have so many good pictures and so much good stuff to talk about that intake. So just to, give you a heads up on how much money can be made with this one part number, okay? That's how niche. If you go niche and you do the best you possibly can for that one part number, you're going to make a killing on it. That's how I sell everything. If I do retail, that's how I do everything to my products. I pay very close attention to everything I sell, down to the part number, and I always have good results with it. So you got, well, maybe you're not going to tap into the 5K of K&N sales, but you'll definitely tap into the 2,500. You'll tap into all these average. Look, all these average prices are 250 and up. This guy is the only one who's selling it at 182, which is why he sells it so many. So, there was, maybe just from the first page alone, there was 30, 40 sales. Okay, just to give you some numbers, let's say you're going to do 10 sales and you're going to do, $50 on each sale. Okay, there you go, $500. If you have an extra $500 laying around somewhere, don't do this. If you want to make an easy $500 every single month for the rest of your life, well, not maybe life, but at least a year or two, right? I mean, nobody knows what's going to happen in the future, but at least a year or two. Every single month, the same amount, there you go. It just gave you your first product to concentrate on. So this is called private labeling. This is going extreme private labeling just because we stumbled upon this guy and another Chinese seller, and we found them too, and now we can compete. So there you go, another scenario that I didn't think I'm going to mention today. What I did in the beginning with Challengertopia, as far as researching products, that's what you have to do. You have to go one by one and see what sells on a recurring basis consistently, and based on what's selling, if it sells over and over again, contact the supplier and see what price they can give you. Now, you got to listen to this. This is the one main thing. I get this question asked so many times, even though I repeat myself over and over again, so I'm going to tell you one thing that you need to know about product sourcing that will solve all your product sourcing problems. Your question is, where do I buy these products from? Okay. Certainly you can ask me, you can check your Yakuza, you can check whoever else we refer you to, like I'm distributing. Let's say nobody has what you need. Okay, who do you buy it from now? You go to Google, okay, so Google. You type in the manufacturer name. So in this case, we're going to do K&N, for example, right? We click on them. This is the manufacturer, right? It's very easy to find who the manufacturer is. Okay? Don't click on where to buy. You're going to click on contact K&N. Here's the phone number. You call them and you say, two questions you're going to ask them. Number one is, can I buy directly from you? And is there a buy-in? If the answer is yes, you can, there is a buy-in, the next question is, who is your top 3 or 4 distributors? You get their names, you get their phone numbers. If you're going to do price shopping for different brands, you'll notice that eventually distributors keep repeating themselves. You'll find the main ones. Some, promotion distributing is one, turn 14, and so on. But anyway, you'll get it from the manufacturer. Okay, they know who their best distributors are. Now, if they're their best distributor where they actually recommend them, that means they have crazy discount if they wanted to give it to you. They have a crazy discount for themselves. They can give you a crazy discount if they wanted to give it to you. Okay, so all you have to do, call the distributor one. Hi, this is me. Just talk to the sales rep. Who cares? The sales rep is on commission only. He wants to sell stuff to you. Tell him who you are. Tell him what you want to do. Tell him how much sales you can do. What's your price? What's the best you can give me without a buy-in? Okay, let's say he's going to say 15 off. Okay, 15 off. Call distributor 2. Hey, I'm buying from distributor 1. I'm not too happy with the discount. I can't really compete. He's giving me 15 off. What can you give me? He gives you 20 off. Call distributor 3. Listen, I'm buying from distributor 2. He's giving me 20 off. What can you give me? I can't compete. Let me tell you something. It will work every single time for you. You will get down to the lowest discount you can possibly get this way. You'll be able to compete eventually if you're going for brand name products. If you're going for private label products, I just showed you the Corvette intake example. You build your own stuff. You buy it from eBay. You source it from eBay. I source products from eBay all the time. Stuff that I can't buy for whatever reason, or suppliers out of stock, whatever the case may be. I go on eBay, buy it now, ship it to myself, repackage it, ship it out to my customer. No big deal. They get the same quality product. It's not I mean, they don't sell garbage on eBay. If they did, they wouldn't be on eBay because they would get all those negative feedbacks. So the products they sell are usually good enough for the customer, or they're actually really good. So there's nothing wrong with product sourcing on eBay if you don't have any other way of getting the product. And there could be a case like that where you call distributor 3 and they say, listen, I can't do anything. And you go on eBay and you can buy cheaper on eBay than distributor 3 or 2 or 1. Listen, if that's the case, then buy it on eBay. It's not a big deal. But I don't want to hear you saying, who do I buy this from? If it's not on Yakuza, if it's not an AM Distributing, Renox, I mean, you can ask us, like, who's our distributors and shopping cart lead. If they don't have it, or even if they do have it, let's say Yakuza, like that, Yakuza is one of my companies. Let's say I have a product. I'm okay with you calling distributor 2 and 3 and trying to have them beat my price. That's not a problem. I'm not going to get upset about that. I want you to get best prices in the industry. If price shopping is what it takes, that's fine. So, of course, I'd like you to come to me and ask me if you can do anything better. But if I tell you no, there's nothing wrong with going and price shopping with other distributors. So keep that in mind and try to get yourself the best possible price you can for whatever you are going to buy. Okay, we're already into an hour, so I got 2 more. I'm not going to do 10, okay? I'm going to do like 1 or 2 for each one, so you're not upset. But I hope you get an idea of what I did today here, and I'll have an archive of this webinar just in case you want to go through it again. If you need a TerraPeak account, it's $35 a month, 30-day free trial. If you can't afford it for whatever reason, ask me. I'll let you use it for a day or 2 just to do your initial research, and then when you make some money, you're going to sign up for one for yourself. So let me do Accurate TL real quick. Now, for Accurate TL, you specifically said that you need Accurate TL suspension, right? So I'm assuming Accurate TL springs, okay? So let's see what sells on Accurate TL springs. And in fact, I'm going to go to your website, tlsuspension.com, and I'm going to see how much you're selling it for. iBook, perfect. I'm going to find it here. First, let's take a look at how many sales we're working with. Not a lot, as you can see. So if you're hoping to make a killing with TL suspension, you're going to be trying very hard. Total sales in the past 30 days for TL springs, at least the springs. I mean, I'm sure if you combine brakes and everything else, maybe it's going to equal out to somewhat okay, but we got $2-3 at most, and this is 100% of the marketplace we're talking about. Those are not healthy numbers. But anyway, let's look at what we have since we're already doing it. Let's look at what he's selling it for. Okay, perfect. Teen. Let's see if you have Teen. So Teen S-Tech lowering springs, Accurate TL. Okay, you have Teen. Now don't get discouraged. You have a TL niche. There's nothing wrong with calling your niche TL suspension and going after everything else that TL has to offer. But, well, let's take a look. TL suspension. Lowering the S-Tech. TL, S-Tech. Okay. Accurate TL. 99. Okay, so I don't know if you're seeing what I'm seeing, but okay, 194. I'm pretty sure free shipping. Yep. And you're at 266 with 34 shipping, so $300. So you're exactly $105 more expensive. I mean, it's self-explanatory. So considering that, I'm sure the reason why you're seeing these numbers is because this guy's probably lowballing the price because he can't get rid of them, so he's selling it for as cheap as he can get it. And also, he has an 04 to 08. I didn't even see those on yours. You have 99 to 03. If you want to try to do something with your niche, you're going to have to beat this price. Well, at least match it, okay? You don't have to beat it. Just do 194 free shipping and make some money with it. If you can't do that, then you're going to have to figure out what to do with your niche. Worst case, if you're getting traffic on it, let me know. We'll put AdSense on it. We'll split the AdSense if you just don't want to deal with it anymore. But I'd recommend using TerraPeak and doing some research about TL in general, like what else you can sell for TL. Like even though it's called TL suspension, if you don't want to lose your ranking, change the banner so it doesn't look like it's for suspension. and just say like accurate TL niche, and then see if people are going to buy the products from there. But suspension in general is just not a, I don't know, they always go for like extremely cheap prices like Teen and iBug. They don't have MAP. That's the reason why. And it's not the greatest market to get into. And when you niche it down to accurate TL and that spring, the only reason you would go so deep down to a niche, I mean, there's nothing wrong with a niche. And don't get me wrong, I said that it's really good to go buy the individual part number. But that's considering that part number is extremely hot and you can make a lot of money with it. Like what I showed you with a Corvette. If that part number is not hot and there is no money in it and everyone is lowballing the price on it, then don't go for it. All right, let's do the next one, the last one. So Mustang. Mustang is a copy of Corvette. Okay, so whatever I showed you for Corvette can be replicated to the Mustang. Huge market, huge competition. You're going to have to either find that one part number that sells a lot and you can get a good price on, or build your own part like we did with Corvette earlier today. So just to get an idea of how much money we're talking about, wow. The Corvette has like 200-something pages. This is 419. Just to give an idea of, like, I'm going to do a full report of all the stuff that's sold for a Mustang in the car parts and truck categories. Check it out. We got, okay, you ready for this? Last month, $3 million was sold on eBay for the Mustang parts. Okay, $3 million for Mustang alone on eBay. And like I said, don't get excited. This is an extremely, extremely competitive niche. Like, I'm talking about get the best prices, get the hottest products. Don't put anything on your website. Don't sell anything on eBay that you can't get the best prices on with the hottest products and good pictures. Like, if you're doing Mustang or Corvette and if you're really serious about it, go and invest into that tent to take pictures. Invest into that camera. You'll do very well with it. Okay, if someone is doing really well on eBay with a certain part, you just need to do a better job with listing that part. Copy what he did, but do it better with pictures, with descriptions, with everything. You need equipment for that. So once you do that, you're competing with him one-to-one, head-to-head. And if you match his price, if people look at his listings or your listing, you're going to get a sale. I mean, I get this every day with my dash kits. Like, I make better listings than my competitor. And I'm one of the 40 people. Like, I have one of 40 auctions on eBay. So, like Dodge Ram, for example, Dodge Ram dash kit, I'm one, and there's 40 other dash kits alongside with me. And I'm the only one selling it every single week, over and over again. Why? Because I have better pictures. I matched up the title. So the way I did it, I found a competitor who sells the most Dodge Ram kits, copied his title, one-to-one, no big deal, like it's just a title. Then I made my listing better than his with pictures, with better descriptions, with better lifetime warranty certificates, et cetera, et cetera. And now he lost all his sales to me because I made my listing better and I'm targeting the same people he's targeting. Same idea here. So, this is going to take like a lot of time to research, but if you want to stick to like 5 products at a time, stick to the 5 hottest products. One of the things that I can do for you is I can spider, like you're going to have to email me a request. I can run a spider in Terapeak to scrape the results from certain product lines. I'm not going to do the whole Mustang because that's just ridiculous. I'm going to, spider 400 pages of stuff. I mean, if you want me to, that's fine. I'll just charge you for the page views, which is probably going to be like $50 or something like that. But if you want me to do it for free, tell me what you want to sell. Like, let's say I want to sell Ford Mustang air intakes. Let me know all intakes that sold on eBay for the past 30 days. And, I'll do my own research to see, like, if I can get the best prices or whatever. Keep writing air. I got to put air intake, singular. I'll give you that report, and you'll concentrate on putting all intakes onto your homepage with the best prices, only the hot ones. Don't put products that do not sell on your website. No point. So, here, just to give you an example, Mustang air intake, 11 pages long, not a lot, right, compared to 400. And there's some money to be made, 3,000. So figure we got like at least 10 grand worth of sales every month on intakes. Now all we got to do is match up the price and get us a better listing for the website and for eBay. Just to get an idea of what this guy sold. He listed 389 of them, sold 70 of them at $44 each. This must be like a Chinese seller, which is a good start for us to get it and then build up. See, like he's selling these cheap intakes. We can't compete with him. We're not going to compete at $64. Like, what are we going to make, $10? No point. But if we buy his pipe and throw a K&N filter on it, throw a Weapon R filter on it, and sell the intake as a K&N intake or Weapon R intake, believe me, you're going to make a lot of money with it. A lot. And you're not going to be selling it for 66. You'll be selling it for 200, and people will be buying it. And when you advertise it, you can call it Weapon R air intake in the title. In the description, you don't have to lie. You don't have to say this is a true Weapon R air intake. You can say this is a Weapon R air filter with a custom-made pipe that I made. There's no lies in there, but people buy that. Okay, so I hope that you've learned something tonight. If you have any quick questions, throw them in there. I got to sign off, but if you have any quick questions for me, I'll answer them right now. If you don't, do check. Some people miss my webinar reminders via email. Check them on Shopping Cart Elite. I always put a week ahead of what I'm going to be teaching you on shoppingcartelite.com, so you can go to the home page and register there. Okay. All right. Thanks for coming, everyone, tonight, and you have a great evening, and I'll talk to you later.